shooting we had last night has turned into a homicide. Just kind of give you a rundown. There's really a lot of questions that we still have. This is one of those investigations that we're still working, and we don't have a lot of information. I just kind of want to get that out of the way. But the initial call came in about 8:41 last night. What led up to that is we had a pizza delivery driver from Domino's Pizza made a delivery to a home in the 2800 block of East Bragstead Drive. Sometime after that delivery was made, there was a shooting that took place. We had several people call in that they heard some gunshots. We're still working on determining the exact number of gunshots, but all these people called police, and then at 8:43, another caller said that they saw somebody laying in the road, and this was kind of off to the side of the road. There was some medical assistance that was given. We had police and ambulance were working on the victim, and unfortunately he died on the scene. The victim is a 30-year-old man. We're going to hold off on his name for a while just to make sure that notification is made with relatives.
Sioux Falls, man?
Well, I believe so. So one of the people that called saw a person running a little bit, probably, I think it was south of that area, but the description we have is very vague, so we don't know if this person's involved, was a witness or what, but it was a man that was wearing a light-colored hooded sweatshirt and then light-colored pants. The one thing that we're asking people to do is if they saw anything last night, anything unusual, if they happen to see anything that doesn't belong in a yard, whether it's a front yard or a backyard, don't touch it, call police right away. And then if people have surveillance systems at their home, we're thinking maybe just kind of roughly a 3 or 4 block area around there. We'd like people to look at their surveillance video, see if they see anything at all. If they have something, we'd want them to call police right away. This is one of those cases where really no piece of information is too small. If somebody knows something about this, we'd encourage them to call Crime Stoppers. Crime Stoppers has a phone number, 367-7007. They have their website, and they've also got an app. All of those are completely anonymous, so if people have information, if they know something, they can call, text, email through Crime Stoppers. That information goes directly to police. I think that's really about all we have at this point in time. Like I said, there's a lot of information that we're looking for. We talked to a lot of people last night. We have officers, detectives are going to be going out to that area again, looking for, again, surveillance cameras if people may have something, looking if there's any pieces of evidence that may have gotten missed, to see if people heard or saw anything unusual. And so we're just kind of trying to get that out there. If people have something, we want them to call police right away.
Do we know where the pizza was delivered, or what pizza place it was from?
It was Domino's.
And that's used as a reference for a frame of time, or that was the victim? The delivery driver was the victim?
Yeah, the delivery driver worked for Domino's Pizza.
Is there a message to delivery drivers out there with this man still not found?
I think this doesn't seem to be any part of any bigger, I don't know, bigger issue, bigger criminal problem. This seems to be an isolated incident. I know in the past, it's probably been a few years, but in the past there were some robberies that have taken place with delivery drivers, specifically pizza delivery drivers, but that's probably been about 4 or 5 years, I think. We really don't have a lot of problems. The main thing I think people should do, and this is not just delivery drivers, but really anybody, is just to be aware of your surroundings. Keep an eye what's going on around you. If you see something out of the air, or if you see something that's not normal, see something that's different, especially if it's something suspicious, get yourself to a safe place, get yourself out of that area, call police, and then we can come and check it out. I don't know if there's anything more that we could say to that. We don't know, I guess, the motive behind this. We don't know what the intent was. There's a lot of theories that are floating around, but we just don't have any concrete answers yet.
So you can say for sure, though, that the victim
Yes.
Does there seem to be much danger for other people in Sioux Falls or around neighbors?
Well, at this point, we don't think so. It seems to be an isolated incident. We didn't have any other issues, any other gunshot calls last night. Certainly nobody else was hurt, anything close to this thing. So whatever happened, we think it was just isolated to this one incident.
Any indications as to whether the victim was intentionally targeted or whether this was random?
That's one of the things we don't know. We don't know if this person was targeted. We don't know if it was a delivery driver that was targeted. We don't know if it was random. That's, like I said, this is one of those things that we also have some different theories on, but we're at this point still looking to figure out what happened. We're looking to find those facts, I guess, and the reasoning behind that will come later, but we're just trying to pin down exactly what took place.
Obviously, through the investigation, you've talked to the pizza customer, I would say. Has that person been cleared, or what did we get from them?
Well, I'll just say that we've talked to a lot of people so far. There's probably going to be a lot more people that will be talked to. We have not made any arrests. There haven't been any charges for anything. So we haven't found the person that's responsible for this. We're still looking for that person.
What about, I know you haven't recovered a weapon, and examining an autopsy hasn't been done, but do you know the kind of weapon that was used?
No, we don't know the type of weapon that was used. It was some type of firearm, but other than that, we don't know exactly what it was that was used.
And there will be an autopsy?
Yeah, the autopsy will be done this morning. That'll tell us the cause of death, the manner of death, at least a preliminary indication.
Can you tell us how many shell casings were found?
That's one of the things we're still working on.
You mentioned this is homicide. Is it also a robbery that you're aware of?
Well, those are details we have to sort out. We don't know necessarily if anything was taken from the victim or not. Obviously, if something was taken, then it ends up being a robbery on top of the death investigation, but we're still sorting those details out, so we're not sure exactly. I guess let me rephrase that. I haven't heard from the detectives, but that's one of the things I know that they look at is whether something was taken or not.
Can you shed light on how many wounds the victim had?
That we're going to wait for the autopsy on that. There's always, things don't always end up the way that they seem. And so we wait for that autopsy to confirm and tell us exactly how many wounds, what those wounds are.
Can you tell us the race of the suspect or any information in reference to the suspect?
The only thing we have is just what that one person saw is that they thought it was a man that was running through the yard. So the only thing we have is what we believe is a man wearing light-colored hooded sweatshirt and light-colored pants.
Is there anything like in that area, like the block it was on, that'll affect traffic today? Are you guys gonna be out there all day?
No, if the detectives are out there, they're gonna be just walking around talking to people, knocking on doors. So we're not gonna have any roads blocked off or anything like that. That would have all been handled last night. They blocked that off for a few different reasons, but they come out, they take pictures of everything and document everything. So I don't think there's any reason that we'd have to close down any roads in that area.
I'm going to hit you with one more, and that would be the forest for the trees. I'm thinking of Bedouin, this. Is there another homicide investigation going on as well? But we're 2 months into 2020. It seems like this most violent crime is higher than normal. Any thoughts on that?
We've seen this before where you may have 1 or 2 homicides in a period of 1 or 2 months, and then things kind of drop off. It's one of the things that is, I guess, relatively nice about Sioux Falls is we don't have a huge number of homicides. Most of the ones that we've had over probably the last 5 or 6 years that I can recall were in single digits. Obviously, that's too many. We'd like it to have 0, but I can't say that let me rephrase that. The homicides we've had so far this year, they're all completely unrelated. So it's not like we have a big crime spree that's going on. I think once we figure out more what happened with this homicide, but they all seem to be completely different. Sometimes the victims know each other, sometimes unfortunately they don't know each other, but I think it's way too early to say that we're on pace for setting any type of records or that there's any reason to be concerned. It just goes back to this seems to be an isolated incident.
How much investigation is done on the victim? Will the police go to his home?
Yeah, I mean, it depends. Each investigation is different, so whether or not we're going to look into the victim, sometimes that happens, sometimes it doesn't. It really kind of depends on that case. In this case, I don't know if they have plans to look into the victim at all, but one of the main things is that we try to establish whether there's some type of connection, whether they knew each other, whether there was a relation, or whether it was a stranger. So in a general sense, yeah, we do look into the victims at some level, depending on the crime, depending on the details of that, the specifics of that would dictate how closely we look at the victim and their past.
Are you able to see where the victim was shot?
We're going to wait for the autopsy on that too. That's probably the best thing. It's the safest because then we're not speculating, then we're not kind of guessing. Once we have the autopsies complete, then the coroner will tell us exactly what the number of wounds are and where they are.
I thought of one more easier one. Would you say, as far as you know, that Domino's is cooperating as far as you can tell?
Yeah, I mean, I think we've got a lot of cooperation from everybody that we've talked to at this point. So it's frustrating because we don't have answers yet. We've got a good track record of investigating crimes like this, and there's just a lot of work that's yet to be done. So, I guess I'll leave it at that.
And it's just police, not FBI or DCI or?
No, just the police department at this point.
Not just, but.
Yeah, it's any type of big investigation. I mean, we work closely with a lot of different agencies, so if we need help from the sheriff's office or DCI or any federal agencies, we work well with all of them in this area. That's the one nice thing about law enforcement, around this area is we all work together. We work closely in a lot of different investigations, and it really pays off when we have a large investigation like this. If we need help, they're there to support us.
I thought of one more, I'm sorry. The K-9 unit was used yesterday, I believe. Did you make any hits, or do you know?
I don't think the K-9 came up with anything. It's having a K-9 is very useful in a lot of different situations. It's another tool that we have at our disposal, and sometimes the K-9s are able to track and find something, and sometimes they can't.